Till death do us part, or till divorce do us part. Divorce is never easy. However, in many countries in Asia, difficult is an understatement. Divorce carries considerable stigma and social pressure and is viewed as a sign of failure in many societies. It's even illegal in at least one country. Why is it so hard for Asian women to break away from bad marriages?
Asia's future is now. It's making massive strides in its economies, human development, technology. But for the region to truly reach its full potential, it needs to empower women who face draconian laws and outdated customs. I'm Natashya Gutierrez. In this series, I meet the women who are directly impacted by these barriers. Why are we still so unequal?
While divorce is tough as it is, in one Asian country, it's, well, impossible. The Philippines is the only country in the world, other than the Vatican City, where divorce isn't recognized. The only way a Filipino can find her way out of marriage is if she pays a considerable amount of money to get an annulment, something which most Filipinos just can't afford.
Annabelle is a domestic worker from the Philippines. She has been working in Singapore for more than 6 years. Coming to Singapore meant that she would earn a living to support her husband and adopted son. But little did she know, her departure was the start of a living nightmare.
Pumunta ako dito para sa pamilya ko. So, gusto ko talagang mabuo yung pamilya ko na normal na pamilya, Pilipinong pamilya. We broke up 2016 kasi may iba na.
Paano mo nalaman?
Yung babae nagte-text sa akin, yun nalaman ko. Tapos, kahit sa Facebook nila, pinapaalam nila sa tao na meron silang meron silang relasyon. Ang sakit-sakit talaga kasi may iba na yung husband mo. Yung binuo mong pamilya, mawawasak lang pala. Ganun. Ang sakit.
For Annabelle, finding out that her husband was unfaithful was only the start of a long ordeal. Like many other Filipino Catholics stuck in a loveless marriage, she's unable to be legally divorced from her husband. Divorce is forbidden for any reason in the Philippines. Not for adultery or infidelity, not for failure to provide child support, not even if the other party is abusive. Legalizing divorce in the Philippines has been deeply polarizing. All movements to consider divorce laws are strongly opposed by conservative and religious groups.
Anong naging reaksyon mo nung nalaman mo na walang divorce sa Pilipinas?
Sad. Parang nakakahina ng loob na may hinahawakan kang papel, pero yung husband, yung partner mo naman, iba yung minamahal, iba yung kasama.
Progress has been slow. Since 1999, some lawmakers have been attempting to legalize divorce without much success. And as recently as 2020, 3 bills were passed by the House to legalize divorce. So the only option for women like Annabelle is a lengthy annulment that can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $20,000. It would take Annabelle a decade to earn that kind of money.
Do you think that you can be completely free without divorcing?
I'm not. I feel like I'm in jail. Yeah? Kasi naisip ko na pag walang divorce, tapos gusto mo nang plano ng sarili mo, magbili ng mga gusto mo na sa pangalan mo, like property, like house and lot, but still in conjugal property. So, kailangan pa yung kahit break kayo ng husband mo, kahit sabi niya break lang siya at break ka. Pero, hindi siya, sa batas natin, hindi siya okay kasi kahit na ikaw bumili ng property, may hati pa rin yung husband mo. Kaya kailangan talaga may divorce sa Pilipinas.
The Philippines might be the most limiting when it comes to divorce laws or lack thereof. But across Asia, divorce is difficult for women for various reasons.
Even though other countries in Asia don't outrightly ban divorce like the Philippines, that doesn't mean that women don't go through considerable challenges when trying to leave their marriages. For example, in India, although divorce is legal, socially it's viewed as a heinous crime.
Mumbai-based divorce lawyer Vandana Shah is an activist who is fighting to normalize the stigma of divorce in India. Her journey began as a divorcee herself.
What's your divorce story?
I restarted my life literally at the back of a domestically violent relationship where I was kicked out of the house at about 2 in the morning, and I had no place to go except to my hired help's house. And, I restarted my life with only 750 rupees in my bank account. So I literally went from being an abused housewife to setting up India's first support group for people going through divorce.
But when you were in that marriage and you were being domestically abused, which obviously sounds like a nightmare, how long did it take for you to finally gain that courage to leave your husband, especially in a place like India where it's so stigmatized, divorce is so stigmatized?
I must say that I did not leave him. They did a favor to me by kicking me out of the house. And I think that is what triggered it off. If it had been up to me, I would have probably stuck on there for a couple of years more, had a couple of children, and then, propagated the whole cycle of divorce, and much, much later, and the abuse would have continued.
How were you treated after the divorce?
I think like an AIDS patient, and I think that sums up everything. And you're also treated like divorce is a communicable disease. No one wants to interact with you. I'd be going for marriages of others. And I remember my elderly relatives telling me, don't tell them you're going through divorce, when you go on the podium to wish them. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to tell them the truth. That if they ask me, where's your husband? I'm not going to pretend that he's gone on some trip overseas. I'm going to turn around and tell them that our marriage has not worked out and I'm going through divorce. India is still a very, very traditional society. We are still talking about a society in which 80% of the marriages, or maybe even 90%, are still arranged marriages. Secondly, we are a society which on the face of it worships women. But in reality, we treat our women as the most expendable, disposable objects in the world. For the longest of time, women were called chattel. And that was a legal term for women. Chattel means things or belongings.
India is not the only place where women are stigmatized after divorce. In China, where divorce has been legal since 1950, many divorced women still face discrimination in the labor force and are seen on the marriage market as damaged goods. And in Indonesia, the Indonesian word janda refers to both widows and divorcees, a word loaded with negative connotations concerning social status and presumed sexual availability to men. Men across Asia, on the other hand, are less likely to be ostracized and suffer economic hardship as a consequence of divorce. While social media and the younger generation are initiating movements to change this mindset, there is years and years of history and societal biases to undo.
So, given all of these obstacles, what needs to change for divorce to be more accepted in a place like India?
I think the implementation of laws needs to change. If you take out the money and the children aspect from a divorce case, your divorce will get resolved in a jiffy. It took me, without having any children, 10 years of my life gone in court. It took me 10 years. There are cases which are going on for 20, 22 years. What we should do is grant a certain sum of money to the wife. We should grant a certain number of access to the husband. Once that progresses, after that, we should let the divorce case continue so that a person can mentally move on.
How long do you think it will take?
Well, if all the things that I say will happen, then maybe at least another decade. If not, you're looking at 50 years.
Wow. And until then, more women suffer and wait in marriages that just don't work.
Yep, and marriage, remember, is the ultimate destination in India.